Ladies and gentlemen, my family here, and look, I feel like I'm in amongst an extended family with all you people as well, because I know you're all here for the same sort of reason as I am, a lot of you, so I'm going to work on it. I've always had my PSA checked, and I've had the DRE on 3 occasions prior to finding out I had prostate cancer, and they were fairly regular too. And last June I was in Auckland for the World Cup soccer final with the under-20s there, and I was there with an old teammate called Brian Turner and my old coach John Adzed, and I said, look guys, you're gonna have to pull up the car here, I need to have a pee. And they said, there's nowhere to go. I said, I don't care, I've got to go. So they pulled up the car and I had a pee, and 2 minutes later I said, look Brian, you've got to put the car again here, I'm sorry. I said, I've got to have a pee. And there was a McDonald's there, so I dived into the McDonald's and had a quick pee. And 2 minutes later, I said, look, I'm sorry about this, Brian. I said, I've got to stop again. And fortunately, there was public toilets there this time. And they both said, mate, you've got to get this checked out. So I did. About 2 weeks later, I went to my doctor, and I'd had the PSA checked, and it was 6.7. And he said to me, that's not high. He said, we've got one of the doctors in here whose PSA is 20. And he said, and he hasn't got prostate cancer. He said, but we're keeping an eye on it. And I don't know what happened then. I'm not sure if it was him or me said, well, why don't you check anyway? And we did in the other room. And he put his blue rubber glove on, and it felt like he never put any grease on it. And he immediately, after taking his gloves off, jumped on the computer and started to type something in. So I knew that he thought there was something not right there. And I went through the public system, and they've been very good to me. 1 month later, I got an appointment for a biopsy. And they said, actually, when I went in there, it was actually Nick, good guy. And they said, look, actually, you've had a knee replacement about a couple of months ago. And he said, and I really can't do this. He said, but you really need it today. And actually, Nick did a DRE like no one else has done a DRE on me. And that's a digital rectal examination. I knew I was being checked that day. So all you guys that have actually had it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And so I said, well, look, here's the telephone number of my orthopedic surgeon. And I said, if he says it's okay, because I knew there was a bit of urgency though in Nick. And he said, I said, there's a number. And he said, I've already got the number, don't worry. And I said, it's on my phone as well. And he said, it's okay, I've got it. And he went out of the room to talk to him. So he wouldn't talk to him in front of me. Went out of the room, had a chat with him, and came back in and said, yep, the orthopedic surgeon said it's okay. We can do a biopsy today if that's what you want. I said, yeah, absolutely, I know I need it. So we did. So we went straight from there into this other room, and I had 12 biopsies taken that day. So I know what you're talking about. Somebody there said it's a bit uncomfortable. And about maybe, they said, oh, you get a call in about 7 to 10 days. You probably all had this. And I got a phone call about 7 to 10 days later, and a lady on the other side of the phone said, well, you'll know what I'm calling for. And I said, yeah, I did. And I was thinking that she was saying, well, here's your appointment time for your next meeting. She said, yeah, you've got cancer. And I went, boom, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I went, oh, okay. And I told my wife, and we had to go in there and then see Nick about 5 or 6 days later, whatever it was. And I went, and actually they said, look, he said, we have this little sort of mini meeting or seminar or whatever, I can't remember what they called it, prior to just to tell you about all the treatments that we've got available to you. And I said, well, I better I'd come to that then anyway. So I shot along to this meeting. My wife came, and there was 5 of the blokes, and they had either the son or the wife with them or something of that nature. And they went through the things, the brachytherapy, and the went through the robotics, and whether it's the hand done one, and the radiation. So we sat through that, and we're walking back across to the outpatients there. And I said to my wife, somebody's going to get unlucky today. I said to the guys, what time are you going in? And he said, 10:15. Okay. Another guy said, 10:30. Okay. I think mine was about 10:45. These were approximately. Give me a bit of. And I thought, okay, so I'm about third in amongst all these blocks, it seemed. And I sat there waiting, and the first one, Nick said, Steve, you're in. I went, oops, this doesn't feel too good. So we went in there, and Nick delivered the message as best as you possibly could, and said, it's as bad as it gets. Because I said to my wife, I'm just going to ask Nick, I'm going to ask him straight out, how bad is this? And I didn't need to, because he said it in the best manner you possibly could, and told me that it was as bad as it gets, and it was probably on the outside of the prostate, and there was nothing he could do for me. So with that, my wife and I were pretty upset, my wife particularly, and Nick said, look, you can stay in this room as long as you like. And within 30 seconds, I said to Jude, let's get out of here. So we went out of there and went home, and my wife rang up the kids. 2 of them live in Aussie. And that day, one came straight back. And the next day, my other son came back with his wife, and they all gathered round me. This was now in September. And I call it the spirit of September, because it was amazing, absolutely amazing to have. I couldn't imagine actually being told this information. And I was being told I was being referred to an oncologist, and actually I didn't even know what that meant, to be honest. I didn't know what stage, because you've just been told there's nothing you can do for you. And my wife and kids all gathered round me, and it was the most uplifting feeling ever. And as I say, I call it the spirit of September. It's still with me now. And we did things like, the boys took me down to the Waimak River. They did some white baiting, had some bourbon and coke. Laughed. We had a laugh, lots of laughs. And it was just brilliant for me. And one of my sons said, actually, I think it went in this order. My daughter, no, I think it was my son, he said, Dad, he said, Beckett needs a granddad. I've now got 2 grandchildren. And my daughter said, Dad, you need to walk me down the aisle. And my wife said, I thought we were going to grow old together. So with that motivation, I then thought, I've got to put a shift in here too. And I saw the oncologist, and they decided to give me hormone treatment. And he said, look, so we'll have to see how this goes. You get another jab in sort of 3 months' time, and here's the pills to take. He said, and look, he said, when I was in Melbourne, he said, 3 of his patients over there weren't very happy with him, because it told them that they were going to lose a bit of desire and a bit of passion. But these 3 blokes seemed really upset because they lost interest in their AFL teams too. I get that. I really get that. Yeah. So we all went down, and we spent that week together. They all went home, and I was uplifted, and it was my turn to fight. And I got repeated messages from loads of guys, and that I'd played football with. I wanted to find myself in tranquil places then. I wanted to do things that were trying to calm me down and sort of take me to these places that I never did, that all you women probably go to, because when blokes feel a bit flat, they go to the pub, don't they, you know? And I didn't. So I started to find, and my kids actually took me to the Ilex Cafe in the middle of the botanical gardens there, and I found it really beautiful. And then I went to a walk in it. I'm not sure what it's like the big glass house in the middle of botanical gardens, so it's got all the big rubber trees and all that sort of thing. And I found that a nice place to go, but I'd actually do it as exercise, because the replacement knee needed a bit of exercise. And I'd walk up those steps, and I was 42 to the top, and in and around, and 42 back down, and in and around the thing, and I'd do that daily. And at the same time, I'd sing to myself an old war cry, battle cry that we used to have as a football team. I'd sing it to myself. And I'll try and get it through for you, but I won't sing it. It says, stand up and fight until you hear the bell. Stand toe-to-toe, tread blow for blow. Keep punching till you make your punches tell. Show the crowd what you know until you hear that bell. Stand up and fight like hell. I'd sing that to myself every day. Until my voice didn't break. Then I knew I was beating it. I felt I was. So I then started to do all these things that tried to take the stress out of my life. And after having 2 DREs, one from Nick and one from the oncologist, my PSA went up to 9.7. And a lot of you blokes, I know one guy out here told me his was 40. My Gleason rating was 9. And thought to be outside the prostate gland, and somebody here said he had his was 9 and his was 40, so mine was a bit of a surprise. But mine went up to 9.7, and I started to do all these things, talk positively, and my family said, Dad, we've all got to fight this together. So they looked around on the internet, as you do, as we probably all would, because I felt and they felt that I had to put a shift in here too. I've got to fight this too. I've got to remain positive and put a shift in. And they found me things like alkaline water, meant to be good for you, put a tap in. Vitamin C, had a go at that. Somebody wanted to sponsor me on vitamin C, had that intravenous. I changed all my diet. I changed it totally to all those things that I think, I'm not sure, the dietitian, I think, is it Ruth? Julie. I'd started doing that even before I met you. I changed my diet totally. I'd taken out all sorts of things that were supposed to be bad for us, And I carried on doing my bit round the park, just walking in there and finding myself in all these nice places. And within 1 month, my PSA, I'm guessing people are telling me it's a hormone treatment, dropped from 9.7 to 4.5. 1 month later, halved again. 1 month later, halved again, until I got to Christmas, and my PSA was 0.2. And I went, wow, here it is, this is good. The doctor at the time at the vitamin C clinic said, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, keep it up. And I said, do you mean I'm going to beat this? Or do you think I'm going to have to live with it? And he said, I think you're going to beat it. So comes Christmas, and I think, well, I can't be Nigel No Mates over the corner there. We're going away on a Christmas holiday. So, and actually my red blood cell count was going down. And I was told that if it went too low, to 90, I'm more likely to need a blood transfusion. And my son said, Dad, now's the time to get in some meat. I'm going to get some venison for you. So we got some venison. And through Christmas, I went, I wonder what a more normal diet will do to my PSA, because that's all we measured ourselves by. And through Christmas, venison led to steak, led to lamb chops, sausages, meat pies, fish and chips. I had a beer, which led to a glass of wine and another bourbon and Coke. And really that didn't stop. But actually, when I got back after Christmas, I had my PSA checked again, 0.1, after having a month of fun and carrying on and doing things that were more normal. And it stayed there. I think it went up to 0.2 and back down to 0.1 over the ensuing months. And I just thought, wow, this is, I'm on the line here. This is good, 0.1. Then just a few weeks ago, I went and I had another test. And it was a liver test, kidney, and a prostate. Prostate 0.1, undetectable, liver normal, kidney normal. This is about 4 weeks ago now. And about 3 weeks ago, I had to go and get my knee. I couldn't bend it far enough because I was sat on a bike in the gym, and I thought, I'm going to set a target here. I'm going to run a half marathon in the Queenstown Marathon in November. And my daughter said, no, you're not. She said, you can do the 10Ks and it probably won't be a run. So I'm still there, so I signed that up, paid my $59, and we're going down there. I'm probably going to be just road crew now for Tory. We'll see what happens. Then I was bending my knee, and they said to me, how's your pain? Like, they put you to sleep for this. They bend your leg in places that you can't when you're awake, all right? So you get the pain you're going to go through. And I woke up and they said, how's your pain? I went, none. And they said, none? I said, I can't feel a thing. They went, great. So anyway, I had a couple of paracetamol or something in that night, and they let me out, go the next day, signed me out, discharged me. Boom, there you go. I said, great. I went to go to the door and I had a searing pain. I couldn't believe it. A searing pain in the back of my shoulder was unreal, like about 9 out of 10. And I went, whew, this is really pain. I'd sit back down, check my ECG, blood test, and they even brought the X-ray machine into the room that I was in. Couldn't find anything. So I went, okay, can't find anything, no problem. So I tried to get up again about an hour later, felt this pain coming back. Thought, oh. They said, is your wife coming to get you? I said, she wasn't, but I said, yeah, she was working. And I couldn't get her out of work to pick me up. So I said, yeah. And half an hour later, they said, is your wife here yet? I said, yes, she's just coming along the road. She won't be far away. So they said, do you want a hand with your bags? And I went, I better not let anybody see me taking the bags downstairs, because I see there's nobody there for me. So I carried my bags downstairs. This is at Burwood. Well, not downstairs, out the door. Put them on a seat. I couldn't walk. I couldn't lift. I don't even know how I got there. My car was 150 meters away. So I left my bags there, went to get the car, came back, took it home. And then that week, I was getting phantom pains for maybe a few months. You might be the same as me. And they were just different places. That weekend, I felt, whoa. I said to my wife, God, there's a real hot spot in the middle of my back there. And in 2009, I had osteomyelitis in my back, and it was at Christmas, and I was laid up with that for about 2 weeks in hospital while they dripped antibiotics into my veins, and then gave me about 6 or 8 weeks worth of these strong antibiotics to try and knock it off. And I thought I had the same thing reoccurring, but in a different spot, because I knew where that was down there, and this was slightly higher, but I thought, oh, maybe it's moved. And that was on a Sunday. And a Monday, I said to my wife, look, and I never say this, Jude always jacks it up for me. I said, I think I'm going to go to the doctor today. And she must have gone, And the pain that was like about the size of an old 5-cent coin became the size of a golf ball, maybe a bit bigger, tennis ball, red hot, 5 out of 5 pain. You know, they ask you at the hospital, don't they? 0 to 5 or 0 to 10, what's your pain? And that day I could say, that's flipping sore, 5. I said, can I get an appointment at the doctor? And they said, look, we can't get you in today. We'll get you in tomorrow. Is that okay? And my doctor would have seen me immediately, but the lady on the front desk, you know, she said, and I said, yeah, okay, tomorrow, that's fine. So the next day, the pain was about the size of a grapefruit, and my back was throbbing. And I went in there, and straight away, they took the ECG, did the blood, sent me down to Fort for an X-ray. I had the X-ray, and they said, quick, now your doctor wants you to go back. I said, okay, it's unusual. Went back to the doctor, and he said, I've got you another appointment down at the emergency department. It's the only place I can get this extra X-ray. Emergency department, X-ray, okay. So I went down there, and they said, no, it's not here, you're round at AMAO. So, okay, all right, acute medical assessment, righto. So I went round there, just as I'm like this, no bag, no nothing. They said, that's your bed there, jump in that one. Well, they did the same again. They did the blood check because they want their own. They did the ECG and they did the X-ray on my chest. And I thought I was going to go, and they said, no, we're going to do a CT scan on you later. I said, okay. So I said, I'm in for the night then, am I? They said, yeah. I'm, oh, righto. So anyway, I was in for the night the next day, and they came to me then and said, look, it's funny because they say, how long have you been like this? I said, oh, a wee bit of time. And they talk about little things that you think are sort of irrelevant, and then and the doctor there said, I guess he was trying to get to this. He said, I've got some bad news for you. I said, oh, really? He said, the cancer's now in your spine and in your ribs. It's in 3 places in your spine and in your ribs. Boom, you could have knocked me over with a feather again. And so I told my wife, she came in. And then they said, look, we're going to do more CT scans, and we're now going to check your abdomen. Oh, wow, okay. Seems we're getting a lot of attention here, you know. And so away I went again the next day. They did a CT scan on my abdomen and came back. Same guy. So, you know, have you been feeling some stomach pain or anything like that? Yeah. Started talking to me like that, and then said, I've got some more bad news for you. I said, oh, I'm thinking, go on. And he said, you've got tumours in your liver and in your lymph nodes. And I went, wow, that feather just knocked me over again. And Jude came in. My kids rallied again, as they do. And said, we're going to fight this together. We're all together. You can fight it. You can be the one that'll do it. You can be that one person that does get through all of this, even though the odds are stacked against you. And anyway, it is what it is. I haven't given up hope. I haven't given up the fight. My kids won't let me give up the fight. And yeah, and I just want, and here's the interesting thing for me, is my PSA is undetectable 0.1, and I've got all this other cancer going on inside me. So I'm thinking, from the layman's terms, just don't rely on the PSA. It's not that good. You know, so it might be one of the only things they've got to measure against. I would still have my PSA, but I wish I'd been able to have a closer look at some other things. And I know why they didn't, because if they found something else, they might not have even treated me for. Well, I had 39 radiation treatments for prostate cancer, and it might have been that if they found something else, they might not have treated me for that. But anyway, here's the good news. From being a year ago and finding that, you know, your world's caved in and there's nothing it can do for you, that just last week this jacked me up with a chemotherapist. So within the next fortnight, I'll start chemotherapy. That's the intention, but at the same time, I'll keep fighting, because that's what we do. That's all.